Welcome to another episode. Today we're going to cover my top 5 favourite exercises for hitting the shoulders. 5 movements that I believe are the best exercises for building big, strong, shapely shoulder muscles. When we speak about the shoulders, we're focusing on 3 different heads or 3 different muscles. We've got your anterior deltoid, your medial deltoid, and your posterior deltoid. And it's important that we use exercises that are going to develop all 3 of these heads of the deltoid muscle. So let's go through them in reverse order from 5 to 1. In 5th place, we've got rear delt flies. Now there's a few ways you can do this exercise. Personally, I like to do it chest supported on a bench with some lighter dumbbells. For some of these shoulder exercises, they're quite isolated and we don't require a huge amount of weight to target the muscle that we're trying to work. Here, we're trying to target our posterior deltoid. So we use the bench in a way that allows us to set up and isolate that muscle. It really allows us to lock in and keep good stability through the movement. I'm focusing on keeping my head still, my neck nice and long, and my shoulders back and down so that I'm not recruiting my upper trapezius muscles and really just focusing on the back of the shoulder. If we want to lift a little bit more weight with this exercise, I would recommend doing it in the bent over position. This is going to recruit more muscles across your body, so it's not going to be as isolated, and you will have to work a little bit through your core and your legs to maintain that position. But it will allow you to use a little bit more weight and possibly bring in a little bit of momentum into the movement. A really cool variation for this exercise is to do it standing at the cables. You're not going to require a lot of weight at all for this. As you can see, I'm using the lightest weight on the cable machine for this exercise. The same teaching points apply. Keep your neck nice and long, don't shrug your shoulders, little bend at the elbow, and try and keep it a nice, slow, controlled movement throughout. In 4th place, we've got a lateral raise. The lateral raise is going to hit the medial deltoid, the middle of the shoulder. And this is a really important muscle to target as it makes us look wider. It gives us that image of being a little bit bigger and wider with bigger arms and more developed shoulders. Here are my 3 favourite variations of this exercise. First up, we have got dumbbell bench supported lateral raises. Basically here, you're standing against the bench, not quite at a straight line, but at a slight angle. So you've got a slight forward lean, and the bench is supporting you and making you stable, very much like we used the bench in the previous exercise. It's allowing you to really tune in on the movement and really focus on the muscle that you're working, taking out things like swinging and momentum from what could creep into your standard dumbbell lateral raise. With this exercise, I'm really focused on keeping my neck long, not shrugging my shoulders, keeping my arms long, but with a slight bend at the elbow. And as I get to the top of the rep, I'm thinking about holding 2 bottles of water, and I'm just gently pouring the water out as I hit the top. If I can pause at the top, even better. The second variation is called the dumbbell poliquin lat raise. In this movement, you create a 90-degree angle and then you lift the dumbbells up so they're parallel with the floor. From there, you straighten your arm and then slowly bring them back to the start position. I really like this exercise because it gives you that isometric at the top of the rep, which makes it a little bit more challenging, and that slow eccentric back to your hips really hits the muscles hard and makes this a slightly more advanced exercise than your standard lateral raise. My absolute favorite version of the lateral raise has to be on the cable machine, doing a single arm lean away lateral raise. Every good program should have some cable variations in their routine. This exercise allows you to work each side individually, and the cable is going to allow you to have tension in parts of the lift where there wouldn't normally be a lot of tension when you're using, say, free weights like dumbbells. By leaning away, we're creating a different starting position. We're creating an angle. So we're increasing the range of motion from the bottom to the top of the repetition. And the first stage of the lift, which is generally the easiest part of the lift when you're doing a dumbbell lateral raise, now becomes the hardest part of the lift. There is more tension in the first portion of this exercise. Really like this exercise, probably my favorite version of lateral raises. Give it a go. So we're now on to my top 3 exercises for hitting the shoulders. You're not going to get big shoulders, you're not going to get strong shoulders, and you're definitely not going to get a big, strong upper body if you're not doing some pressing movements. And when we want to hit the shoulders, we're talking about overhead press exercises. Third on the list is a dumbbell Arnold press. Arnold presses are a really cool variation of doing an overhead press. It increases the range of motion and it places more tension through the medial deltoid than your standard dumbbell overhead press. So if you want to get shoulders like the big man himself, then you want to be including these in your training program. To do this exercise, you've got 2 options with the bench. You can either position it directly in a straight line right up to the top, or if you do have a little bit of tension through your shoulders, and this can go for any pressing movement that we're about to do, you can angle it just one back. You're going to get a lot out of this from a shoulder aspect, but it might just be that little bit more comfortable than having it completely and utterly straight. Another thing to point out is position your seat like so. This is going to give you more stability when you are in the bench and you're going through the movement versus having it flat where you've got more chance of sliding off the bench. With the Arnold press, you feel like there is no rest position. It's just constant tension throughout the movement. It feels tough at the bottom, it feels tough in the middle, and it feels tough at the top as well. Great exercise to include in your shoulder program. In second place is a seated dumbbell shoulder press. We're getting to the point where the weights are getting a little bit heavier. With this exercise, you're going to lift more load than you could in the Arnold press. It's really important that you try and keep your back nice and straight and you don't overarch your lower back. If you allow your back to overarch and your bum starts to slide forward, you then change the angles of this exercise and it more becomes similar to say incline chest press. So you want to keep your back nice and straight, engage your core, minimize the gap between the bench and your lower back, and really focus on pressing upwards throughout the movement. So we've reached number 1. The best exercise, in my opinion, for building big, strong, shapely shoulders is barbell strict military press, where you are standing with a bar and pressing it overhead. Why would I use the barbell and not the dumbbells? Well, to be honest with you, I would use both. They're both amazing exercises, as is all the other exercises we just went over. But when we use the barbell, it allows us to use more weights than we could use on the dumbbells and the cables. So there you go. There is my top 5 shoulder exercises. Now, did I miss any out? Do you do any variations of these movements that you consider to be better? If so, let me know. Give me a little comment. Let's have a chat. If you like this video, give it a like, give it a share, and make sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching.